Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we give you thanks for this day and we thank you for the discussion that we are about to have. We pray that it would be simple and clear for all to understand. This is our prayer in Jesus' name. Amen. So welcome to our Monday Night Live, and our topic of discussion is leaky gut. Is it my root problem? Is it my root problem? Last week, we talked about gluten sensitivity. And interestingly, the feedback that I got, and even other discussions I've had between then and now with individuals, and sort of exploring, am I gluten sensitive? And a lot of folks are wondering whether they are. And so, the easy way to find out or to have some inclination would be to sort of eliminate some of the foods that we talked about for a certain period of time and then bring that back in. And that would become clearer to you this week and by next week. So welcome. I'm speaking to you from Pure Wellness Lifestyle Center, located in the island of Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean. And we have a session coming up in the month of July, July 27th to April 14th, where we will have an 18-day program, as well as in that space, an 11-day program for those who would like to come. Please contact us. And we certainly will share all the information that you need to get here. And we also have during that time for some of the participants where we'd be looking at Diabetes Undone. This is a really wonderful program where individuals can learn about their diabetic state, know more about it. How did I become a diabetic? And what can I do to reverse that? And within the 11 days time, we're really excited to see what God is going to do for you and turn around your diabetes and get some really good sessions going on. Now, we also have another program called Answer to Cancer that begins in the month of July, from July 6th to the 19th. And this is a Zoom program, an online program. So a wider audience would be able to benefit from this one. And I am looking forward to this program because it gives more detail than what we have done in previous Answer to Cancer programs. It's one that is post-COVID. So definitely we are seeing a rise, and you probably are too, seeing a rise in cancer cases since COVID. It is really sad. Only today I've had two, connections with individuals with cancer and requesting information and help. And it's like that almost every day, where you just get back to back of individuals with cancer, different stages in their lives and needing help. And so this is a program that would give you tools, that would give you protocols, that would give you, a step-by-step guide as to what to do during your daytime and so forth. So do try to sign up for this and connect with me if you have any questions or if information isn't clear about how you can register. We'll post this also in the WhatsApp group so you can get some more details. And then we are looking at our topic today, leaky gut. Is it my root problem? And many times we are searching for answers, and individuals would say, I just don't feel right. Something isn't well within me, but I just do not know what it is. And interestingly, it can be your gut. Something is happening within your body, and that's not normal. And we talked about gluten sensitivity, so maybe it's the flour that you're consuming, it's the wheat that you may be exposed to, or maybe it is some more something else. And could this be a problem? So pay keen attention to what we're going to share with you now. I have a little video clip that I'm going to switch on to the internet to get this video to share with you. So let me just tap the share here, open that up. Okay, so here we go.
The next time you look in the mirror, think about this. In many ways, you're more microbe than human. There are 10 times more cells from microorganisms, bacteria, viruses, fungi, than human cells in and on our bodies. And our genes are outnumbered 100 to 1 by microbial genes. Scientists even have a name for all these microbial genes, the human microbiome. Now, this might make a lot of people rush for the hand sanitizer. But it turns out most of these microorganisms aren't bad, germs that will make us sick. Most are good. And without these good microbes, our bodies don't seem to do as well. We don't seem to be as healthy, and we actually might get sick more often. So one question is, where do our microbiomes come from in the first place? Well, like a lot of things, it starts with our mothers. As the infant passes through the birth canal, it gets coated with microbes from the mom. These microbes may kind of seed the baby with just the right mix. Combined with bacteria in breast milk and other microbes we encounter early on, they seem to slowly take shape in our first few years of life. The overall mix of our microbes becomes very personal, sort of like a fingerprint or maybe a blood type. But our microbes tend to resemble those of our parents and siblings and may stay with us for much of our lives. They may also be doing all sorts of things, such as educating our immune cells, like this one, teaching them the difference between things they should fight off, bad bugs that might make us sick, and things that aren't a threat, like our good microbes. When we're adults, microbes become our first line of defense, fighting off germs that try to invade our bodies, protecting their turf while protecting our health. Scientists have discovered they can even spew out their own antibiotics. The types of microbes in your body vary depending on exactly where they live, like different ecosystems in nature. There are wet places like our mouths, noses, and armpits, oily places like our scalps and backs, and dry places like our forearms. Different species of microbes have adapted to each of these habitats. The biggest, most important microbial habitat seems to be in the gut. It's the most complex, the most diverse, and everything microbes are doing everywhere else in our bodies, fighting off infections, revving up and dampening down our immune systems, signaling cells, that's all happening in the gut in spades. They even seem to help regulate our metabolisms, how much energy we burn and how much fat we store. So if it's not functioning properly for some reason, because of what we eat, antibiotics we take, that may actually lead to all kinds of diseases. Diseases like colon cancer, colitis, maybe even diabetes and obesity. Some scientists think one reason a lot of diseases are increasing is because we've lost key gut microbes. Our microbiomes look far less diverse compared to those of people in less developed countries and earlier generations. And remember how we get our microbiomes in the first place? From our mothers when we're born and from breast milk? Well, some scientists think that too many babies aren't getting that because of all the C-sections and not enough breastfeeding, plus all the antibiotics kids get these days and our obsession with cleanliness. All this may help explain why problems like asthma and allergies have been soaring. Maybe because our microbiomes never taught our immune systems how to work the right way. Maybe swallowing good microbes, probiotics, could prevent and treat some diseases. So could taking prebiotics, essentially food that good microbes love. We end our story with a reminder. This research is really new. We still have a lot to learn about what many of our microbes are really doing. But scientists say that it's getting clearer and clearer that the tiny organisms all over our bodies are essential to our health and happiness.
Okay, wonderful. Uh, I hope that information sort of stimulated your mind a bit. It probably caused you to get a little visual of what might be going on in your body. And that will set now the foundation for our discussion as we go forward. Let me just ask a question. We're talking about leaky gut, so if you can just share, um, has anyone here heard about leaky gut before? Have you not heard about it? Is this your first time that you're learning about leaky gut? Of course, it's a term, but you probably have heard like all diseases begins in the gut. The gut is essential. The gut house our immune system.
Oh, good night. I hear it often, but it's nothing that I can explain in its entirety.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been hearing it in the last couple of years. Leaky gut system.
Nice. Yeah. And cases some folks are mentioning that they've heard about it before.
Mhm.
Wonderful. But really to explain it to someone and to understand it for yourself and even to think as to whether this might be contributing to your current health status. That's really important. Yeah. You've heard about it being connected to autoimmune diseases and illnesses, correct? And yeah, that's true. And we would explore a number of symptoms or indicators that shows up in the body once someone has leaky gut. Thank you. Okay, so as we just saw, we now can be clear that we do have friendly and unfriendly bacteria living in our gut. And when we talk about the gut, you're looking at your intestines, small intestine, large intestine, you're looking at your intestines. So we have friendly bacteria in there and unfriendly ones. So what we want is the friendly bacteria to thrive well and better than the unfriendly one. The friendly bacteria, because we are a living organism, and the bacteria, they do have their function. As you saw, they help with our immune system to muster up those immune cells and that would fight for you when infections come in. And then the pathogenic or the unfriendly one, they exist there too as waste products, make them thrive a little bit more. And but we want them to be on the low and less than the friendly bacteria. As you see here, the friendly ones, you may have heard about acidophilus and biobifidum and a number of these, a whole range of them. And then the pathogenic or bacteria, unfriendly ones, fungi, uh, Candida albicans, as some of those that are there. So they exist. We will live with them through all our lives, but we don't want the unfriendly ones to thrive more. And in autoimmune conditions, in certain circumstances, you find that the pathogenic or unfriendly bacteria, that they are thriving more and really robust, and they're taking over the show. And that can cause individuals to be sick. And so what we need to do is to get in there and strike a balance again. And we will show you how to do that. Now, some of the friendly bacteria, what do? They make stools move, passable, and break down the food, and in such a way that it would be excreted out of the body. You find that they also help in making the B vitamins such as biotin and B12 and vitamin K and other kinds. So one of the things that I'll tell you, when you see individuals have like a B12 deficiency or another B vitamin deficiency, very many times it will be that they have leaky gut going on, because as I would show you, certain items that would be leaking out of the gut into the bloodstream, the B vitamins tend to go out as well. And so it doesn't stay within the gut to do its work. And so it's needed. Now, the deficiency of these essential vitamins contribute to diabetes, obesity, hair loss. Are we stung close to experiences that you have? Gray hair, eczema, and other kinds of skin issues, intestinal bleedings, anemia, also stroke, cancers, degenerative disorders, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, lots of autoimmune conditions that can result when you start having nutrient deficiencies. Yeah. So what is leaky gut? It is a condition in which the small intestine lining, so you have your small intestine, and then around that you have the large intestine. So the small intestine lining, the inner lining of it, can become damaged. And when that is damaged, and let me just pause to show you what damage means. Say I have my clothing, and I can look at it and hold it up against the light and see numerous threads. But if perchance we were to start pulling at one of the threads and it begins to unravel, it's going to make a hole in the clothing. And then that's not going to be good because now I have a hole, and anything from the outside could easily come into my clothing, onto me, and vice versa. So it is with your small intestines. It has a wall, a layer, that it's a tube. And when it gets damaged, you get a weakened spot. And then items that's supposed to stay within the small intestines get leaked out. And where is it going to? The bloodstream. So it allows undigested food particles, toxins, and bacteria to leak into the bloodstream. This can trigger inflammation and immune responses, potentially contributing to various chronic conditions. All right, and I'm taking my time to go through sharing this here, because understanding this definition is important. So your small intestine, not as the wall is not as tight as it is. There's a breach in the wall. There's a tiny hole in the wall that can get bigger and bigger over time. The small intestinal lining is permeable. It's like a strainer. So if you strain So sometimes I wash my vegetables in the strainer, or some peas. I just put it and I wash it through the strain, in a strainer, so that the water can go through, but the content remain in the strainer that I need. Imagine trying to wash quinoa, and you're trying to drain it, and some of the little balls of the quinoa can go out. So if you have a strainer, it's going to stay in there for you, but the water goes out. So our intestinal lining, it's permeable. It's supposed to allow certain nutrients to get out into the bloodstream, but it's not allowed to, and supposed to send everything out. So you ate your food and it's all creamy, mushy, passed through your stomach and everything, and it's moving along, but it's going out wholesale into the bloodstream, as opposed to just being juices going out. And so toxins that would have remained in your small intestines made its way to the large intestines and excreted out of the body by way of stool, now gets into the bloodstream. And then your folks would say, well, the blood isn't clean because you're breaking out in skin rashes, and it gets into your bloodstream, and your blood circulates throughout the body and goes to different organs, including the brain. And certain toxins getting to the brain can trigger Alzheimer's, Parkinson's disease, seizures. So the bacteria now that should remain in your small intestines and out of the body tends to get into the bloodstream. That is not good. So let's see. This is a little diagram. The walls of your small intestine should be nice and tight like this. There are, different cells here, but they're all connected. It's like a chain link. Yeah, a chain link. Have you seen a chain link? They're all intertwined, and you don't know where. You can't break that so easily because they're all connected. But with a leaky gut situation, you have they're not tight, they're not intertwined. There's some little spaces, and it's perforating, and it's getting bigger and bigger over time. And therefore, you find certain microbes get out. They come in here, get into the bloodstream. This is your bloodstream, but you have toxins, microorganisms. You've got gluten. You have different things, certain chemicals getting into the bloodstream, and that can play its way out into different conditions. All right, stress can impact you and cause this gut wall to weaken. If you're exposed to drug medication, antibiotics, and so forth, it can cause your gut wall to weaken and make this a leaky gut situation for you. So it is what we're putting into the body that can cause the cells of our small intestines to be irritated, eroded, and start having breaches, little spaces that can become big over time. Note that 80% of our immune system is in our gut. So if our gut is not operating well for us and protecting us, when we say protecting us, protecting our blood from being contaminated with certain elements that should not be there, then that is a problem. So what are the causes? Let's look at them in detail. Could it be the diet that we're consuming that is impacting us? High sugar intake. So if you're one where you have a sweet tooth and you're looking to eat sweet because you have sugar cravings and you must have this sugar, where do we find sugar? In items that we drink. Some folks look for energy. Maybe they have a leaky gut and they are low on energy, they're fatigued, and then they are consuming uh, glucosade, some of those energy drinks and trying to get that energy, but it's loaded with sugar. That's just going to make it worse. What about maybe they have refined carbohydrates like donuts and the different cakes and other delicacies, processed foods, and foods in cans and that products, whole foods are not processed necessarily. And then gluten, we mentioned that before, where you have gluten found in your wheat, rye, barley, and dairy, where the casein protein may cause allergic responses, and the casein protein can cause you to have a leaky gut because it is not something that is normal for humans to partake of cow's milk. And then excessive alcohol drinking over time, again, that's a lot of sugar, and that can cause you to have a leaky gut. Amazingly, eggs can do this. What about food coloring? On the weekend, I prepared a dish of some sweet potato, and I was, playing with my colors for that whole menu, and I made my sweet potato red. But I had to say to my guests, this has no food coloring in it. It is beetroot, that has been blended with some other items to make a red sauce for you. And you have the red, but not the food coloring. Or what about food preservatives? So many times we're having these packaged foods and they have preservatives in them. They have these colorings, the yellows and the blue and the green and the reds and the orange color of that's added to food. You can use real food to make colors for your food. Add turmeric, add some carrots, and you get orange. Add some pumpkin to your blends of an item, and you get brilliant colors. Add some cilantro and broccoli, and I did a sauce for my veggie medley, and I wanted green because everything was looking to one side of the rainbow. And I took some cilantro and broccoli and blended that with some lemon juice, onion, garlic, and sea salt. And I got a really nice dressing. And I poured that over in the dish, filled it up nicely, and we had a nice creamy green sauce. But there was no food colorings in there or preservative items. Now, chocolate, the caffeine in the chocolate and the chocolate itself, theobromine, can be hurting our gut. Peanuts can unfortunately do that. For some people, corn can impact them. And many times where you see the corn and the wheat, it's because folks are eating these items repeatedly, morning, noon, and night. Flour, 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 or the wheat in different forms, or the corn in cornmeal and corn chips and corn, and just repeatedly. So let's change up our foods. And when you start having a variety of items on your plate and for your intake, it makes a difference. Now, the symptoms of food sensitivities or intolerances, you may begin having some of these and wonder, what could it be? Could it be that you have a leaky gut going on? So have you been experiencing aches and pains, acid reflux, asthma, back pain, that unexplained back pain, not necessarily the lower back, it could be the upper back. Yep, the upper back. And just behind your neck. What about some neck pain right down by your brain stem right there? Or bloating, brain fog, where you have this foggy mind, you're talking in conversation, you seem not to be remembering well. What about candida or thrush that you have? Constipation or diarrhea that you keep having some bathroom worries. And then fatigue and chronic fatigue, where you just are lost with for your energy, even by midday. You just want to lay down. Gas. People talk about having the gas, the belching, and so on. Headaches, joint pain, mood changes and mood swings. You're experiencing depression, anxiety, skin problems where you have psoriasis, rashes, eczema, sinus, hay fever, and it's not just it's seasonal, it keeps going on and on. Or even if you were to fix your gut, you would fix the sinus issues that you're having. And weight gain or weight loss, unexplainable weight gain or weight loss, and you just can't stop it. Now, gluten can affect us. There's a certain element in gluten or that comes from wheat called zonulin, and that can cause those tight junction points to get holes within them. And again, what should remain in the small intestine gets leaked out into the bloodstream. Caffeine. We talked about the chocolate, the coffee, the tea that has caffeine, the energy drinks, the energy supplements that has caffeine in them. It can cause you to have acid reflux because it overstimulates stomach acid production. And caffeine looks similar like gluten to the body. And again, that may cause a reaction with causing your gut to become leaky. Chronic stress. Stress weakens your immune system and also impairs that gut barrier function. So if you're under a lot of stress over time, you find that your immune system weakens, you're getting the flu and cold quite quickly, and then you're getting all these food intolerances where everything you eat seems to be bothering and troubling you. What about medication? Sometimes I see this where individuals may have had a surgery and they had to take a lot of medication, maybe antibiotics, a course or courses of that. They may have done like chemotherapy, where you're putting in a lot of toxic material into your body. But a simple thing is ibuprofen. If you have a headache or some pain, you quickly pop that. That can predispose you to having leaky gut, especially if it's something that you're doing regularly. Proton pump inhibitors, those acid blockers because you have acid reflux. And instead of regulating our time for eating or how we bring our food or the combinations of food, you see individuals go for one of these PPIs and they start pumping, taking these pills, and then acid is relaxed. You have made your stomach more alkaline, but that's not the answer. Antacids, corticosteroids, the steroid medication, birth control pills can do it, and inflammatory fillers that may have gluten. Sometimes you have certain capsules of medication that has fillers in them. They may have gluten in them, and they may cause you to have a leaky gut. There's a term called gut dysbiosis, and this is where you have an imbalance in the beneficial and harmful gut bacteria. So that's just where we started, and I showed you have friendly and or beneficial or unfriendly or harmful bacteria. And when you have an imbalance, you have gut dysbiosis that can cause the gut walls to be more permeable by having the bigger spacing and holes in them. Oh, hormonal imbalances, where you find that there's an imbalance in various hormones, and such as estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, thyroid hormones, stress hormones, and the intestine depends on a correct hormone balance or correct hormone levels in order to function well. So if you have too much estrogen going on in your body, and you see it playing out itself maybe in estrogen dominance and estrogen dominant conditions, know that your gut is something that you need to support because that can be impaired. Then there is vitamin D deficiency. That is so real for a number of individuals because we're spending lots of time indoors, not going outside to take our sunlight. And I know the sun can be hot these days, and we are into the summer months of the year. And but the time you want to go out for your sun walks, it can be pretty hot. But don't run away. I mean, I took my walk today between 10:30 and 11, a little after 11, and it was pretty hot. And when the sun is hotter than you're walking, you don't walk as fast as when it's cooler. But it happened anyway. We knew we were taking our sunlight and happy for it. So instead of standing one spot and say, sun, shine on me, you can walk about and enjoy it just the same. But then if you don't get your sunlight adequately and regularly, daily, then you can suffer from vitamin D deficiency. And when that happens, your gut walls cannot be strong, and you could have some dysbiosis going on, that leaky gut going on. And sufficient vitamin D seems to protect the gut lining and prevent damage by the pathogens or unfriendly gut bacteria. Infection. Are you having an infection? Some people have some chronic infection going on because there's something in their body that's not getting fixed, and it keeps continuously being there. So we want to take care of any infectious agents in our body or any part of the body that might have an infection, deal with it as a matter of urgency. Because if that remains in there too long, it could affect your gut wall. So candida, parasites, small intestinal bacteria overgrowth, where the bacteria overgrows within your small intestines, or the fungi tends to overgrow within your small intestine. These are real situations that can take place. And toxins, are you exposed to pesticides? Is that coming in your home by the food selection? What about BPA, bisphenol A, where you're using plastics, and then that gets leaked out into your food, or you're drinking plastics. And heavy metals, exposures to mercury, maybe it's in the fish or something, the amalgam fillings that you have into your mouth. That's a release of toxins into your bloodstream over time, and that can cause you to be living with leaky gut. Autoimmune conditions like celiac, as we mentioned when we looked at gluten sensitivity, inflammatory bowel disease. So this might be where your bowels now are inflamed. Of course, the gut wall is going to be weak, and that can contribute to leaky gut. So many are causes, and what does it do to your body? So it's going to cause that lining of your small intestine to be porous, more porous, and get items that should be in your colon, in your small intestines, that it gets it now into the bloodstream. So what does that do to the body, and how does it play out itself? We mentioned a few, like brain fog, but there are more. So let's just go through them. Digestive problems, bloating, constipation, reflux, like acid reflux, the gas, the diarrhea, the food sensitivity. So you would see if you have any of these, then think about leaky gut. Hormonal problems, estrogen dominance, PMS, endometriosis, polycystic ovary syndrome. So some of these we've mentioned before, but here you get a little bit more in this diagram. Symptoms. These are indicators that you may have leaky gut. Immunity problems. You're frequently having infection. Allergies. We talked about the sinus, the hay fever, asthma. Asthma. Let's think of fixing the gut. Skin problems. What about acne and eczemas and rosacea, where you have even dandruff? So you have all of these skin issues where the inflammation is on the inside of you, but now it's playing itself on the outer skin. Note that because of the leaky gut situation, you have toxins moving around in your blood. The skin is an excretory organ. The largest organ on our human body is the skin, and it excretes toxins and waste material from the bloodstream, and it can play itself out in these conditions. Joint problems, where you have pain in the joints. Inflammation is going on, rheumatoid arthritis, for example. And let's look at the gut and having certain items to help heal and seal that gut lining, close it up again. We'll show you what to do. Then your metabolism is not working well. So you have chronic fatigue and you just want to sleep and rest and wake up and eat and sleep. Or weight gain, you have weight that you just can't throw off. And then you have type 2 diabetes or type 1 diabetes as an adult, where you're diagnosed as having need for insulin dependence. So these are some real issues. What about the autoimmune conditions, the Hashimoto's? Your thyroid now is being affected because of a leaky gut. Irritable bowel disease, psoriasis, autoimmune conditions such as celiac disease. Again, let's work on the gut. What about the brain? That houses your mind. So you're having mental health problems. And so you're anxious and overly anxious. And this is so real for when it comes to anxiety and depression. What we eat and what we drink could very well impact our health, our toxic exposures in our environment, or what we might put in internally can cause a leaky gut situation, and therefore the chemistry in your blood is not right, and that can affect your mind. That can get you to be really hyped up and anxious, or on the low end and depressed. Brain fog, mood swings, learning challenges. We have children who are impacted by this. You saw in the little movie we showed you how microbes from the mom passes on to the baby. And when the baby is coming through the birth canal, picks up some of those microbes from the mom. That can help with building an immune system strong if they are good beneficial bacteria. However, if they are pathogenic bacteria, it can have you with a weak baby, a weak child. And you find that the learning disabilities come in. The learning challenges step in. We are talking about things like autism or dyslexia, or attention deficit disorder. So many of these all chemical related by the wrong stuff being within the bloodstream of the child. And so when we talk about healing the gut lining, we got to be thinking not only of adults, but of our seniors and of our children. Because if they are not eating well, have the right composition of food, or who would just eat anything that's in their space because they're hungry and nobody's taking care of them well, then you're going to have them with some challenges. And then thyroid problems. Okay, so we had the Hashimoto's, but also the hypothyroidism, Graves or hyperthyroidism can be impacted. Your thyroid gland, therefore, is another part of the body that's impacted. So you have your thyroid gland, you have the brain, you have the gut, you have the joints, you have your hormones, so every part of you, the skin, the stomach area, every part of you gets impacted, whether it's something tangible or intangible. It seems to be that these areas of the body are affected. So there are some tests that we can do, and if we were to just take a look at some of these, how would we know if we have leaky gut? Maybe you have some condition that's already mentioned here, or you want to explore. Maybe just go on to Google and say leaky gut and your particular condition and see what comes up. And you might be surprised that it can be supported. It could very well be one of those areas that you need to pay attention to. So there are some tests. Lactulose mannitol test. That seems to measure the presence of non-metabolized sugars. So remember, it's not metabolized, it's not broken down because the small intestine is leaky and it got out into the bloodstream before the small intestines could have broken it down well. And then lactulose and mannitol, these are glucose types which are found in the bloodstream that is hyperpermeable. So it's noted that once you have leaky gut, you're going to find these substances in your blood. It's a most common reliable test. Then there is the comprehensive stool analysis, and this tends to integrate, it talks about the integrity of your gut wall. How tight, it's an indicator about how tight your gut wall is or whether there are gaps. It is closely related to the composition of microbes, and it quantifies the amount or the level of beneficial bacteria. It measures inflammation in the gut and detects the presence of whether you have these harmful species of bacteria, yeast, and parasites. So this is a stool test that would give you information about how much inflammation you have in the gut, and as well as the beneficial bacteria. Remember, we always want a good balance, but more of beneficial bacteria as opposed to pathogenic bacteria. Now, wheat zuma is another type of test that would tell you how well you tolerate gluten. SIBO breath test, small intestinal bacteria overgrowth, where you can blow into a device and it sort of measures if you have an overgrowth in bacteria. Food sensitivity, where you can have a food sensitivity test that indicates if you have sensitivity to a variety of foods and a wide variety of foods. And the more you have sensitivity to more foods, then it may tell you about what's going on in the gut. And then we have TMAO. This is one where a lot of folks at our center are learning about, where you have some pathogens in the gut, and that makes its way to your liver and converts into trimethylamine N oxide. And that, where you have high levels of it, can indicate gut dysbiosis, or where you have the leaky gut situation going on. Interestingly, high levels of this is also an indicator that you're primed for having a heart attack or a stroke. because high levels of trimethylamine N oxide, TMAO, is also an indicator that you have arterial blockage going on in your arteries, narrowing of your arteries, putting you at risk for heart diseases. The foods that we eat can cause trimethylamine to be high and increased in our body. It's a bacteria that when you eat foods like eggs, when you eat foods like sugar and dairy, alcohol consumption, when you ingest those items, so any food from the meat and animal products and so forth will cause your gut to produce certain bacteria that will get out into the bloodstream, make its way to the liver, and the liver produces TMAO that can do so much damage to the life. And then you have organic acids test, and this measures ingredient deficiencies along with pathogenic species, and that would usually be accelerated with a leaky gut. So if you had high levels on the organic test, acid test, then that can indicate your leaky gut situation going on. So food sensitivity, we can have some elimination diet. If you thought of maybe I have leaky gut, it wouldn't hurt to leave some foods out of my system for a while. We want to determine the problem foods, and that would mean you eating something and seeing where you have, if it causes you to have brain fog. So you gotta have like a food log journal, and you're writing down everything that you have, that you ate, and its impact on your health, whether it made you extremely fatigued, whether you had pains in your back and your joints. Then you would also look to eliminate those problem foods. Leave them on the side. Don't eat them for the next 6 to 8 weeks and then bring it back again. You want to support your immune system for better health and to repair any damage that might be caused to your gut lining of your intestines. That's why you back away, have the elimination of certain foods, because the more you keep bringing in the food that would hurt you, you find that the gap and the space in the gut wall just gets increasing over time. And your disease states, wherever it's impacting in your brain, in your stomach, wherever it's impacting certain organs, you have problems there. You want to reestablish healthy gut flora and support the body by reintroducing these foods back into the diet over time. Your goal will be, as I mentioned, remove food that would cause damage to your gut lining for a temporary period. And so last day we shared like a gluten-free list, and some people got really scared, but it's for a temporary period. And then you would take a probiotic supplement or eat prebiotics. Take prebiotics. Prebiotics are usually fiber. And so if you increased fiber in your diet, having more vegetables with more fiber, that can feed your beneficial or good bacteria. And then you bring the foods that you put on the side for a while, that you put on the shelf, you bring those back into your diet. Start eating them one food at a time and see if your body can tolerate. And yeah, so any adverse reaction such as bloating, gas, belching, cramps, dizziness, sometimes folks are dizzy-headed and they're not connecting it to something that they ate. So pay attention to what you're eating and any adverse reactions. Once you leave that off, you bring it back in next 6 to 8 weeks. So that'll be like 2 months later, you bring it back in. If you're okay, you keep those foods. Yeah, and when you're bringing the foods back into your diet, you want to eat the same thing for about 3 days. So if it is that bananas might be problematic for you and you're not sure, so you're testing, leave bananas out for 8 weeks. And then when you start to eat bananas again, eat it day 1, day 2, day 3, and see how your body reacts. So this is one way of, if you don't get the test, because some of these tests are hugely expensive, and you can just simply do the eliminating diet, and that can give you some indicator. Again, you have to take a food log and journal everything that you're eating and drinking. So in healing a leaky gut, we're just gonna, these are just some high pointers. Remove inflammatory foods, gluten, sugar, dairy, alcohol, chocolates, all of those, the pastry items, you wanna remove them. And then replace them with good enzymes, digestive enzymes, stomach acids, so like betaine, HCl. You want to re-inoculate probiotics and prebiotics, have that, either you take a supplemental form, and then repair with nutrients like L-glutamine, zinc, and aloe vera. Aloe vera, quite soothing and healing to the gut lining. Slippery elm, marshmallow, they're quite soothing and healing to the gut lining. Even cabbage juice is soothing and healing to the gut lining. So we'd pause here and tune in next week, where we would look at how do we heal this leaky gut? What is the solution? What is the answer? And what can we do? So I just gave you a little something, the elimination diet. So start looking at that. Meaning just certain foods that you might suspect, just start leaving them out. And sugar, for example, definitely leave it out permanently. Okay, from your intake. And the animal foods, their byproducts, let's leave those out. So you do have some tools to work with until we meet again. But in our next session, we're going to look at rebuilding your gut wall. So those gut wall, how can we heal and seal the gut lining? And that's what we will look at. So our scripture of the week comes from John chapter 14, verse 27. It says, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid." And this is Jesus speaking to each one of you here today, that there is a peace that he possesses, that sometimes our lives might be in turmoil. It seems as though there is no rest in this weary world for us. And you just want it all to end, and you just want peace, all the controversy, you just want it to stop. And Jesus is saying that he has peace, just what you need, and he wants to give it to you. And it's not the kind that the world would give and then it vanishes when you wake up and you get up, go to sleep and you wake up, it vanishes. But what God gives to you is everlasting. So he said, don't let your heart be troubled. Just come unto me, all who are weary and heavy laden, and I am going to give you that rest that you need. So recipe of the week, we have an instant sesame milk. So, sesame seeds, they're quite nutritious to heal our gut lining. And so they're rich in protein, fiber. They have gut healing properties, magnesium, zinc, selenium, and B1. So tahini is actually sesame seed butter. That sesame seed that has been blended up and made a paste. So if you got half cup of organic tahini or sesame seeds, you can take half cup of sesame seed to 2 cups of water. And then you're going to blend that together until creamy. And you may just add a sweetener, maybe like dates. You can take 2 or 3 dates and put it in that blender and blend it up. It's going to give you a nice drink that's quite soothing and healing for your gut lining. So I would think this is like medicine tasting good. So you could enjoy, some sesame milk. You also have coconut milk. If you had the all natural raw coconut and you're able to grate that, and you just take like 1 cup of it, of the grated coconut, and you have 4 cups of hot water on the side. You have a sweetener, maybe some dates or a little honey, and you combine the coconut in the hot water and you blend all of that up and let it sit for about 10 minutes for it to cool. And that would also help the coconut to soften. And you blend it again. Then you strain it and you sweeten it. Or yeah, if you did dates, you can strain it and then put it back to blend your dates in. And that's going to taste quite delicious. You keep these items in a refrigerator and it can last for about 4 days. So coconut milk, coconut in itself, it's quite nutritious for the beneficial microbes in your gut. Similarly, tahini or sesame seeds. You can eat sesame seeds just like that. But here we're just sharing some nice way of taking your nutrients. And there also that's about it. So by way of announcement, look forward in the month of July for our health retreat all the way at Pure Wellness Lifestyle Center and our Diabetes Undone program, where we are reversing diabetes and teaching you how to do it and doing it with you. And we have an answer to cancer, very much needed topic and conversation and material and tools to see you through in your cancer prognosis and diagnosis and what it looks forward going as you go forward for yourself or someone that you are living with or helping. May the Lord richly bless you. I would take questions and answers at this time. Oh, we have a question. Let's just pray and then we do the Q&A. Heavenly Father, we give you thanks for our discussion and we ask for your continued grace to be with everyone. This is our prayer in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay, so do we have any questions based on what we discussed here? It was quite simple to help you to understand leaky gut and how you can, what are the causes, and what are the symptoms, how does it play itself out into the body? And next we're going to look at the big question, which is how do we fix it? Okay. Right, so I don't see any question. Let me ask you a question. Was the information clear to you? Do you have, is
Hi,
it?
can I ask a question?
Nash?
You know, there's meat that we just eat that come from the flour gluten. Is that the same gluten that would affect the body also?
Yes, yes. So
Oh boy.
the gluten from wheat is where, and you would have the wheat flour, and then you would wash that flour, just
Yes.
rinse it, and you get the gluten. So
Mhm.
that's the protein component that's found in the wheat, and it's very gluey, and it gives that chewy texture. So that is gluten. Whether you break it down into the gluten where you're making this meat-like substitute, or you simply have the flour and you have your bread that you have prepared, or any item that you use the wheat flour, rye flour, barley flour, and that gluten is in all grains. However, in the wheat, it tends to be problematic. It's because the wheat crop itself has been hybridized. They have tampered with its composition, and so it's impacting human beings in a sort of different way that that it's undesirable. Mhm.
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So for those who maybe say, not my gluten, know that there are so many other foods that we could enjoy and not necessarily resort to that. So if you're one where you find you've been having that product quite regularly, then by now you're surely going to have some hurting going on in your small intestines. So that's one of the things, sometimes we are eating something that can have an adverse reaction on the body. And because you're doing it repeatedly, it's going to take hold and going to impact us. If it's once in a while, like for New Year's Day, just once a year, once in a blue moon, and it has the potential, yes, same potential to do harm, but it's not going to hurt you just a one-off. But when we're repeatedly doing it, if it has any potential to hurt you, it's going to take hold. It's going to take a footing. Okay, so many folks have said it. It's very clear. Right. So do we have anyone else who has a burning question on topic? Maybe you have some other issue that's going on and you want you're looking for an answer this evening. If not, then we can close. All right. So thank you,
I did
everyone.
have my hand.
Oh, sorry. I'm looking
Uh,
at the chat.
yeah, the last minute. Yeah, because I joined late and I tested high for the main marker for celiac, and I have autoimmune called ankylosing spondylitis, and I know I probably have leaky gut. Anyway, I was just wondering, is this on YouTube or I just missed out completely?
Yes, we have it on YouTube. So our session is being recorded and will be posted on our YouTube channel. I need to save my YouTube.
What's the YouTube channel? Because I'm not sure if I know it. Is it the wellness? I'm driving, so I'm not sure. What topic?
Okay. So you gotta look up my name, Dr. Natalie Nash. Natalie, Natalie, on YouTube.
Good.
And you would,
Because you kind of broke up. So can you text that in the chat and I'll take a
yeah,
screenshot,
I just did
please?
it. Yeah, so
All
if you
right.
click on
Thank
that
you.
link, it will take you
All
there.
right. Thank you.
You're welcome. And so we have this evening session being recorded and many more sessions that have been recorded. Okay.